Tem chanu and so somebody who touched a dead body, Hashem tells Moshe to say that those people have to camp outside the camp for 7 days. Kol horeg nefesh, kol nogeh b'chalal titchatu v'yom hashlishi v'yom hashvi atem u'shvichem. So we said this pasuk yesterday. Anybody who touched a dead body, or they touched the dead body that was touching itself a metal object, and they touched the metal object, then they are tamei, they're outside the camp, and they become purified on day 3 and day 7. Rashi says, titchatu, we're up to the second Rashi, which is or the third Rashi on verse 19, you shall purify yourselves. What are we talking about? This is called mei nidah. The waters of the red heifer are called sometimes the mei chatos, and sometimes they're called the mei nidah, the waters of sprinkling. Kedin shar tamei mesim, just like other people who touch the dead bodies. Sha'afo divrei ha'omer kivrei goyim inon metamim ba'oel. Shenemar v'aten soni, son mariti, adam atem kriyim adam, ein goyim kriyim adam, modu v'mag v'maseh, shenemar adam ela etzel tumas olim, shenemar adam kemus ba'ol. Let me give a background, then I'll read what he says. There's 2 ways in which a person can become tummy from a dead body. One is by touching it directly. One is by being in the same room as the dead body. Or actually, the third way is to touch the metal object that's touching the dead body. So here we're talking about where you're actually touching either the dead body directly, or you're touching the metal object that's touching the dead body. So in this case, even though, so the law of whether or not you become tamei by, hey, how you doing? All right, my friends. Hold on 1 second. Do you have the chumash? Those of you who don't remember yesterday, this is Gilad Schneider. So there's, even though you become, that the law of becoming tumas ohel there's a dispute in the Talmud whether or not that applies to idolaters or non-Jews. Can you become tamei by being in the same room as a dead body who is not Jewish? But everybody says, even though not everybody agrees you can become tamei by being in the same room with a dead body who's not Jewish. Everybody says if you touch the dead body who's not Jewish, then you're going to become tamei. So that's what Rashi is saying here. That even according to the opinion who says kivrei goyim, the graves of non-Jews, einan metamim ba'oel, do not transmit the tumas meis, the impurity of the dead body in the tent. As it says, vaten soni, you are my flock, son mariti, the flock of my pasture, adam atem kriyim adam, you're called man, ein goyim kriyim adam, the idolaters, the nations of the world don't fit into that category. Modehu, this opinion still admits, shagoyim metamin b'magav v'masa, that if you touch the nations of the world, or you carry them, you're going to become tamei. Shalom nemar adam ela etzel tumas olim. It's only with respect to the tent tumah that we say that it needs to be specifically a Jew. As it says, Adam kemut ba'ol. This is relevant. Can a Kohen go into a hospital in America? So there's morgues in that hospital. But we know that the morgues, overwhelmingly, they're going to be non-Jewish. So the presumption is that the person is not Jewish there. So then, is a Kohen allowed to be in the same room or is he allowed to go to a funeral of a non-Jew? So if he's in the same funeral home with them, so according to this Rashi, according to the standard practice, he's allowed to go. He's just not allowed to touch the dead body.
Can I ask you a question on the prior Rashi, which says that if you kill somebody when you're coming, you have to go outside the camp?
Yeah.
Does this apply in military situations? How could it?
No, so the Rashi has said this, and we discussed this. which camp do you have to go out of if you become tummy from a dead body? If you become tummy from a dead body, you're not allowed to go into what's called the Machane Shechina, into the courtyard of the temple. But you're allowed to be in the Machane Leviah and the Machane Yisrael. So you're allowed to be with the Jewish people. You just can't be in the temple.
But Rabbi, the army today is not relevant. It's the same. Rashi very specifically said only with a sword that you actually have contact, not with a bow and arrow. So,
I know, but
with a gun or with a tank, it wouldn't be relevant. You're not anywhere near the dead bodies of the goyim.
I don't know. I don't know that if you're a commando, you tell me that whatever. I'm sure there are people who there's still hand-to-hand combat. People are still trained in hand-to-hand combat, but that's not even the point. The point is that if everybody who touched a dead body had to leave the camp, there'd be very few people in the camp of the Jews. So there's different camps, and only the people who never touched a dead body could come into the temple. And then it says, "Atem ushvichem," you and your captives. You and your captives are required to be purified. What does that mean? Rashi says, "Lo shagoyim mekablim tuma utzrichem hazah ela ma atem b'nei bris av shvichem k'sheyavo bris v'itamu utzrichem hazah." Meaning to say, not that the nations of the world can receive tuma, they can't become tamei and require. You don't have to sprinkle the ashes of the red heifer upon somebody who is not Jewish. But it means, just like you were members of the covenant, so too your captives, when they come into the covenant and then become impure, they require sprinkling. Meaning to say, when a non-Jew becomes Jewish, when he converts, he does not need to get the ashes of the red heifer sprinkled upon him. Because this category of tumas meis can only apply if you're Jewish. Only if one's Jewish could they become tamei from a dead body. Yes, Jerry.
I have a sort of a technical question. In the desert, when the Jews were fighting Moab or any of the enemies, and a Jewish soldier, excuse me, had a sword that penetrated the body of the enemy, and he pulls the sword out. We know the enemy is going to die. The question is, does holding that sword make the Jewish soldier tamei or not?
I mean to say, he pulled it out. He gave a mortal wound, but he did not yet die. So does the tumah happen before he actually dies? Is he? Well, I think I recall the Gemara discussing that question, and I think the way the Gemara resolves it is, it depends how far along how fatal the wound is. But I remember the Gemara discussed that question. I don't remember offhand exactly the conclusion in the Gemara.
See, today the medical doctors declare a person dead when there's no heartbeat. I don't know what in Gemara's time what they considered death.
Yeah, they discussed that. No, certainly the Gemara elsewhere discusses what's exactly death, but doesn't need to get to that point. The Gemara discusses, like, even if you think he's about to die, the Goen's not allowed to be there anymore. Judah, are you trying to say something?
Yeah, I know that. I learned this on Sunday. We had a whole
Now with us, you
discussion.
didn't learn on Sunday. You were with someone else.
Well, in the morning, at 7:00.
Okay, fine.
So, when Pinchas killed the guy, he was a Cohen Pinchas,
Right.
and Hashem had to give him an extra, what do you call, bris, that he could be a Cohen Gadol. But whatever, the thing is, he was telling us that when you kill someone with a shogeg, it's bad. But an even lesser thing is if you kill for self-defense. It's even lesser of a there's ones, first degree, then shogeg. I forgot what this one was called. In self-defense, you're allowed to. It's not as bad. So probably the same thing as war. It's not as.
No, even if you kill in self-defense, you'll still become tamei. Even if you're a
Oh
doctor.
yeah. As far as tummy, yeah. Sorry. So I was doing tummy. Right.
All right. Thank you. All right, good stuff. So let's see what the next pasuk says. V'chol beged, v'chol kuyor, v'chol masei izim, v'chol kuyes titchato. So all these things can become tamei. Any garment, any utensil that's leather, anything made of goat skin, any wooden utensil, all these things can become tamei. Yeah, it means titchato means you have to purify them. All these things you need to purify. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Rashi says, Kol maseizim, avi kuya karnayim. This comes to include the vessels made of the horns, vatuafim, and the hooves, and the atzamot, and the bones. So that's what it's coming to include. Hello there, Ilan. How you doing? All right. Vayomer, next pasuk. So all these things can become tamei. Anything made out of wool, leather, goat skin, or wood. Vayomer elazar kohen, or metal. Vayomer elazar kohen el anshei hatzava ba'im l'milchama. So this, by the way, we're coming into the passage of how you kosher something. This is the source of how you immerse something in the mikvah and how you kosher something. So Elazar the priest says to the men who coming into battle, this is Zos Chukas Torah. This is the law of the Torah. Asher Tziva Hashem es Moshe. You know what? You can get it, Elon, if you want to get a Chumash. So if you, the second bookshelf from the left, the fourth row down, you have the Steindorf Chumash. No, one more over. One, yeah, you have the Chumash at Rashi. So Elazar the Kohen said to the, we're in chapter 31, verse 21. Elazar the Kohen said to the men who are going to battle, this is the laws of the Torah that God commanded Moshe. What does this mean? Elazar the Kohen says, Moshe l'chal ka'as. Because Moshe had become angry, balachal ta'ut. He had made a mistake. Shenis alamu mimenu hilchos ki'ue ovdu kochabu. It's interesting that this is what Rashi is saying, because it's a question, why is Elazar teaching this halacha? Why is Moshe not teaching it? And so Rashi is saying Moshe is being punished. But I'm just drawing a blank here. I'm remembering we saw Rashi earlier, which says that Elazar was punished for teaching this and not asking Moshe. Does anybody remember us saying that? I remember saying that. Nobody else remembers that? Maybe Rabbi Steinglass has a footnote that Elazar was punished. Oh, yeah, we saw that it said, yeah, it says in the, remember we saw this last week, Seth, that Yehoshua never had to go before Elazar because Elazar was punished because he taught this halacha. Remember this in Pinchas? You do remember that, right? So look at that. Look at the verse in Pinchas. It's a contradictory question. It says here, he says, appoint a person and stand them before Elazar, and where does the pasuk say it? It says, I thought we said that, but I don't see it here. I thought he said that. Didn't remember it. Where did he say it? Okay. Okay, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, let's see. Here we go. Verse 16. I don't know, I'm drawing a blank, but I remember that we saw that Rashi last week. Maybe Rabbi Yosef remembers. When Elazar is teaching this because Moshe got angry.
Yeah, I mean, Steinfeld says it's just due to his anger at them. He was angry. Therefore, Lazar had to inform them, in a calm and organized manner.
Yeah, well, that's from Rashi, but
Rashi, but yeah, Rabbi.
yeah, but we saw the Rashi last
I
week
think he
saying,
said something about Lazar getting punished for something,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it was for this or if it was for something else.
Elazar was punished because he taught this halacha. Rabbi Yosef, can you Google that, please, on your thing? Elazar the Kohen was punished because he punished. He wasn't that Yoshua didn't need to go before him and ask him a question ever because he taught this halacha out of place. We saw that. I don't remember where, but I know we saw it. So therefore, but anyway, it seems to contradict this Rashi. So we find on the 8th day of the inauguration, so he's saying all the places where Moshe got upset. And so just like Moshe got upset when they came back from battle, and Moshe got upset on the 8th day of the inauguration, he made a mistake. It says Darosh Tarash there. So these are the three places Moshe makes a mistake in the Torah. Moshe gets angry in the Torah, and all three places it leads to a mistake. And this is a true statement. Whenever we get angry, we make a mistake. Nothing good comes out of us getting angry. We all do it, obviously, but that's because we're human. But that's the.
Oh, he was angry at Elazar and Tamar because they didn't eat which korban?
That was on the carbon of Rosh Chodesh.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's the one that the Medrash is quoting.
No, we did it last week. That's from Shmini, but we did it last week about Yoshua. That Yoshua didn't. It says that whenever you have a question, you have to go before Yoshua and ask him. You go before Elazar and ask the Orgatumim, and Yoshua never had to go because Elazar was punished for jumping at and teaching this.
That would be in 27, 21.
What'd you say, Rabbi Yosef?
27.
Should be in chapter 27, verse 21, where it says that Lifnei Elazar Kohen Ya'amod.
All right, Vishalo.
That's where I was looking.
Also,
But
if you look at this, the Chizkuni commentary on the pasuk we were looking at,
Yeah. What does Chizkuni say, Jeff?
He says just what you were saying. Let me get to it. He says the reason that it was Elazar who issued the instructions was that he, when the one that first prepared the first red heifer, whose ashes would be the instrument that made the process possible. Although Moses had instructed him, Elazar had quoted him. He was punished for preempting Moses and revealing what the procedures were to be taken now. The punishment was that we do not find that Joshua again required the services of the high priest Elazar, although when he had been appointed the Torah, when he had been appointed, the Torah had written that he will stand before Elazar the high priest.
Right. So he's quoting, he has a source. So it must be citing the same source that we saw in the Rashi.
Yeah, it's Eruvin 63.
Oh, there you go. So Eruvin 63. So it's a little bit of a contradiction that Elazar, Moshe was punished, so Elazar taught it. But because Elazar taught it, he was punished. Okay, fine. But next, so what is it that you have to do? Ach et hazahav. This is very important. Ach et hazahav ve'et hakesef et hanechoshes. Gold, silver, copper, ve'et habarzon, iron, et habedil ve'et haoferet, tin and lead. This is the metal utensils. You're going. We'll just read the next two psukim and come back and do the Rashis. Kol davar asher yavo ba'esh tavir ba'esh. Anything that can go into fire, you kosher in fire. V'taher. And then it becomes purified. Ach b'meini da yitchata. But you have to sprinkle on it the waters of the red heifer. V'kol asher lo yovo ba'esh tavir b'mayim. And anything that will not come through fire, you pass through the water. This is the principle of Kabbalah Kach Palto. The way you kosher something is the way it absorbed the flavor. If it absorbed the flavor through heat, then you take out the flavor through heat. Let's look at Rashi says. Achet hazahav, just gold. Afal pi shelo hizir lachem Moshe ela al hilchos tuma. Even though Moshe only warned you about the laws of impurity, Elazar is now adding something else. Od yesh lahazir lachem al hilchos giul. He's commanding them about giul, what we call as hagalas kelim, making something kosher, getting rid of the non-kosher flavor. Ach lashon miut, it's an expression of exclusion. Komar memuatin atem, milishtamesh bekelim, afilu achar taratan mitumas meis. Meaning, even after you take these utensils, you get rid of the ritual and the purity that they were, impurity from touching in their body. Ad sheyitaru. You can no longer eat from them until you get rid of the non-kosher that was absorbed in them, which Rashi here calls nevelos. And so you have to get rid of first the non-kosher, the ritual impurity from the dead body. Then you have to get rid of the non-kosher flavor. The non-kosher, the ritual impurity you get rid of by sprinkling the ashes of the red heifer, the water of the red heifer. And the non-kosher taste to get rid of by passing it through fire. Another thing, before you can kosher something, you have to get rid of the rust. That's what it means. The metal needs to be in its pure state. Anything that comes into fire to cook with it, tavir b'eish. Rashi says you pass it through the fire. So just like you use it, that's the way you kosher it. Anything that was cooked with hot water, you stick it in the hot water to kosher it. And anything which you use by roasting, like a spit or a grill, you make it burning hot with fire. This is the principle of Kibolo Kach Polto, which is the fundamental principle of how you kosher something. Okay, and then it says, Ach b'meini da yischata. So here we have something very, very appropriate. The fi pshuto, the literal meaning would be chitoi zeh l'taharo mitumas meis. You might think that literally this means you need to purify it from having touched the dead body. But amar lahem, but here we're learning another halacha that never had really mazel. It never had mazel to spread, even though it's right here in the Torah. Tzrichim hakelim giul. The vessels need purging. L'tahara min ha'isur. You need to get rid of the non-kosher flavor. V'chitoi l'taharon min ha'tumah. And you need sprinkling to get rid of their impurity. That's the pshat. V'rabosenu darshu mikan. And our rabbis taught something else. That also, in order for them to be able to be used, they require immersion. This is what's called tevilas kelim. You have to take your utensil and immerse it in the mikvah. So with kli matachos, for a metal vessel, you need to take it and immerse it. Meinida ktuvin kan darshu mayim harouyim litbol bahem nida. A water that is necessary to immerse the anida in v'kameim arba'im sa. So a utensil, a mikvah for utensils requires the same type of mikvah that a woman requires in order to immerse in. And that's what we're learning here. Oh, it doesn't. So that's what we're learning here. And anything which does not come into fire, called or anything which absorbs food but is not through fire, is not through heat, like what? Could go in kosos, like cups, slochios, and jars, which they use through cold water, and they have not absorbed the forbidden matter. Taviru b'mayim, matpilo v'dayo, v'davka kli matachos. So anything which is metal, Rashi says, and did not get anything absorbed through heat, that does not need to be kosher, but you do need to just, in order, before you could use it, needs to be immersed in the mikvah. And so we've seen here basically almost all of Yoreh De'ah in these three verses. Not all of Yoreh De'ah, but a lot of Yoreh De'ah. We've seen the law of how you kosher something. We've seen the law of how something becomes non-kosher through heat on fire. We've seen the law of immersing it in the utensil before you could use it. And then the verse says, I see people I hear people eating the soup, but they're gonna be disappointed, it's not ready yet. And then you wash your garments on the seventh day, and then you could come into the camp of the Shechina. This answers Dan's question. You don't need to be sent out of the Machane Levi and the Machane Yisrael, only the Machane Shechina. All right, we'll stop here to daven mincha at this time. Yashikach to everybody.